Hello. Hello everyone and welcome to Hitbullseye. This is the topic of the week and we are going to cover this for the third week of July. इस week का हमारा topic of the week है multidimensional poverty index. So there are two indices basically that have been launched. One is the multidimensional poverty index at the international level, at the global level, and second is of course its reflection of India. So as much as we should be concerned about the global index, the more focus should be on how India has fared on this index. So let's start with this. But before starting, there is a thing that we should understand about poverty, that it is not a unidimensional concept. And that is the core idea behind the launching of this index, that poverty is not unidimensional. It's not that, you have a lesser amount of money with you and you are a poor. No, there are so many dimensions of poverty. Poverty impacts health. Poverty impacts your thinking ability. Poverty impacts your standard of living, your education. There are multiple impacts of poverty. There are multiple dimensions through which poverty should be considered. And that is the idea behind the multidimensional poverty index. So let's start. First of all, if we talk about the global multidimensional poverty index, there are two agencies that are responsible for taking it out. One is the United Nations Development Program, UNDP. UNDP is the first one. Second is the Oxford Poverty and Human Development Initiative, OPHI. So UNDP plus OPHI, Oxford पावर्टी एंड ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट इनिशिएटिव, ये दोनों मिलके इस इंडेक्स को लॉन्च करते हैं. So what does it measure? According to UNDP and OPHI, it measures interlinked deprivations. The deprivations are the things that they are deprived of, how they are interlinking. Interlinked deprivations in health, education, and standard of living that directly affect a person's life and well-being. Now, it's a very subjective thing. All of us may have different ideas of what standard of living is, but we will see according to the criteria of UNDP and OPHI what constitutes standard of living. So let's take a look. Then we will see where the poverty stands. So this is how this index perceives multidimensional poverty. There are three basic dimensions. First is healthcare. Okay, number one is health. So health को दी गई है 1/3 weightage, education को भी दी गई है 1/3 weightage, और living standards को भी 1/3 weightage. So now let's see the सब क्राइटेरिया. हेल्थ के अंदर 1/6 टोटल इंडेक्स में 1/6 वेटेज दी गई है न्यूट्रिशन को, because if a person is not well nourished, that has a huge toll on his or her health. And 1/6 is to child mortality. Child mortality is the number of children who die before reaching 6 years of age. That is child mortality, and this is counted per 1,000 children who are born. So number of children who die before reaching 6 years of age out of every 1,000, that is child mortality. Infant mortality is up to 1 years of age. Child mortality is up to 6 years of age. तो ये दो क्राइटेरिया है हेल्थ को जज करने के. Next is education. So half of this weightage goes to years of schooling. You know, how many years a person has been schooled? 1 year, 2 year, 5 years, 10 years, years of schooling. Second, school attendance. So here it is not only the quantity that is being checked, but the quality also is being checked. Like, it's not that a person has attended school for 10 years and it will be counted. No, if they have actually gone to the school and attended the school, that is also a criteria. So that is health and education. Last one third जो weightage है वो 6 equal indicators में divided है, and these are really really important. This is what constitutes living standard from the global perspective. Cooking fuel. So what kind of a cooking fuel is being used? Are they using cow dung cakes? Are they using wooden wood for burning, or are they using clean fuels like LPG? So cooking fuel, the choice of that is a criteria. Sanitation, whether they have a toilet at home, whether they have the ability to dispose of that waste in a clean manner, sanitation. Then drinking water, potable drinking water, tapped water connection to every household. Is it there or is it not? Drinking water. Then electricity. There are so many areas in the world that even now do not have an electricity connection. So many villages in remote areas. So is electricity available or not is another criteria. Housing. Without housing, poverty, amplifies itself. So housing is an important criteria. And finally, assets. Now this is a bit subjective, what assets are being considered and what not, but still we are counting the basic assets and not like luxury assets over here. So 1/3 weightage है इन सब चीज़ों की, 1/3 education की और 1/3 health की. This is what we call multi-dimensional poverty index. अगर इन तीनों क्राइटेरिया में और इनके सब क्राइटेरिया में अच्छा परफॉर्म हो रहा है, only then the score improves. So now if we get back to what is multidimensional poverty index, we have understood. Now some of the results of that. So according to this global multidimensional poverty index, global criteria हम थोड़ा सा ही देखेंगे, उसके बाद हम इंडिया पे फोकस करेंगे. So according to this, 1.1 billion people in the world are poor. 1.1 billion people. So we have 8 billion population, जिसमें से 1 billion people are poor, मतलब 1/8 of the people are poor. And most of them live in two areas, either sub-Saharan Africa or in South Asia. Sub-Saharan Africa means the southern part of Africa, which is below the Sahara Desert. That is the area that has the most concentration of the poor people. And then South Asia, which is the region in which India is. So India has a good number of poor people. Then we have Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Bangladesh, Myanmar. These countries also have a lot of poor people. Right, so these are the two regions, sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia. And after that we have this criteria. Out of the total poor people, approximately 75% live in middle income countries, and approximately 35%, approximately 70% live in middle income countries, and 30% live in low income countries. So those who live in middle income countries and still they are poor, their chances of getting better are higher, and that is where India has excelled this time, and we will take a look at that. Right, तो ये criteria आपको ध्यान में रखना है. So global outlook को देखें तो 1.1 billion people are poor. Sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia have the maximum number of poor people. Now let's go to India. What has India done? And this report is by the Niti Aayog. So now that was the global multidimensional poverty index, but India also releases its own poverty index, which is by the Niti Aayog. This is a report of sorts. So the outlook for India has been detailed in this Niti Aayog report, and according to this report, between 2015, 16 and 1921, that means about a 6-year period, 2015 से लेकर 2021 तक का जो पीरियड है, इसमें पॉवर्टी में कितनी कमी आई है. So according to this, 13.5 crore people in India have moved out of multidimensional poverty, and that is an amazing feat. Out of 140 crore people that we are, approximately 14 crore people are out of poverty, which earlier were below the poverty line. That means a 10% reduction straight away. Right, so that is why this was in news. 10% reduction in poverty. Comprehensive methodology use की गई है इसके लिए भी. इस पूरी रिपोर्ट का नाम है नेशनल मल्टी डायमेंशनल पॉवर्टी इंडेक्स, अ प्रोग्रेस रिव्यू. So that was the global MDPI. This is the national MDPI, a progress review 2023. और इसके लिए जो डेटा यूज किया गया है वो बहुत ऑथेंटिक डेटा है, दैट इज नेशनल फैमिली हेल्थ सर्वे राउंड 5th जो कंडक्ट किया गया था. NFHS is the second most trusted and authentic source after the census. तो सेंसस क्योंकि हो नहीं पाया अभी तक, और उसमें वैसे भी इस तरह का डेटा शायद कलेक्ट नहीं किया जाता, नेशनल फैमिली हेल्थ सर्वे के बेसिस पे ये डेटा आया है. तो इसमें भी 3 क्राइटेरिया जज किए जाते हैं, हेल्थ केयर, एजुकेशन एंड स्टैंडर्ड ऑफ लिविंग, द सेम थिंग. नाउ लेट्स टेक सम specifics of India. So this is the most important finding of this index, and as you can see, this is a comparison of these 2 years, 2015-16 and 19-21. So according to this, the share of multi-dimensional poor persons in population has gone down from 24.9% to 15.0%, and that is a straightaway 9.9% reduction, or you can say in other words approximately 10% reduction in poverty. तो पूरे इंडिया में 2015 में 25% लोग पुअर थे, मल्टी डायमेंशनली पुअर थे, और अब 15% से भी कम रह गए हैं, विच इज अ ह्यूज अचीवमेंट गिवन द फैक्ट दैट इंडिया हैज बीन होम टू द हाईएस्ट एब्सोल्यूट नंबर ऑफ पुअर पीपल इन द वर्ल्ड. पर अब शायद ऐसा नहीं कहा जा सकता, अब ये नंबर काफी कम हो गया है, 25% से हम 15% पे आ गए. और अगर हम रूरल और अर्बन एरियाज का कंपैरिजन देखें तो रूरल एरियाज में 32% से हम 19% पे आ गए हैं, विच इज लाइक 13% रिडक्शन. और अर्बन एरिया में हम 8.7 से 5.3% पे आ गए हैं, विच इज ऑलमोस्ट 3% रिडक्शन. तो मतलब रूरल एरियाज में हमने काफी अच्छा परफॉर्म किया है पॉवर्टी को कम करने के, विच इज इवन बेटर because rural areas में इंडिया की majority of population रहती है. So that's even better that we have increased the standard of living of people in rural areas. सबसे बड़े areas, biggest areas of deprivation. So figures denotes the percentage share of population deprived of each indicator. तो ये सारे जो indicators हैं, cooking fuel, housing, nutrition, sanitation, maternal health, years of schooling. तो इसमें सबसे बड़ा जो deprivation है वो था cooking fuel में, राइट. कुकिंग फ्यूल में सबसे ज्यादा डेप्रिवेशन थी जो हमने कम की है. सो विच स्कीम वाज देयर गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया? इट वाज द प्रधानमंत्री उज्ज्वला योजना, अंडर विच अप्रोक्सीमेटली 9 करोड़ फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट एलपीजी कनेक्शंस वर डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड. देन हाउसिंग, हाउसिंग में भी हमने थोड़ा सा इंप्रूव किया है, प्रधानमंत्री आवास योजना इज देयर. देन न्यूट्रिशन स्कीम, न्यूट्रिशन में भी थोड़ा सा इंप्रूवमेंट है. सो दिस इज बिकॉज ऑफ द पोषण अभियान यस. देन सैनिटेशन, सैनिटेशन में देखो कितना ह्यूज जंप इज देयर, देयर इज अ ह्यूज जंप इन हेल्थ केयर, सॉरी योर सैनिटेशन कवरेज, ऑल थैंक्स टू स्वच्छ भारत अभियान. देन मैटरनल हेल्थ में थोड़ा सा है, बहुत ज्यादा इंप्रूवमेंट नहीं है. और ईयर्स ऑफ स्कूलिंग में भी हमने थोड़ी सी इंप्रूवमेंट जो है वो दिखाई है, राइट. सो दीज आर द क्राइटेरिया वेयर वी हैव शोन इंप्रूवमेंट. Now, across all indicators we have shown improvement. तो total 12 सब indicators हैं जिसमें nutrition, child mortality, adolescent mortality, maternal health, education, sanitation, access to basic amenities, drinking water, electricity, सब में हमने improvement दिखाई है. Electricity में India 2020 में 100% electrified जो है country वो बन गया. Like every village in India now has electricity. Every household may not have electricity, but every village does. Then similarly, drinking water के लिए we have हर घर नल से जल, हर घर नल से जल campaign, हर घर जल campaign, in under which by 2024 every rural household in India has to have a tap water connection, right. तो 9.89 परसेंटेज पॉइंट या 10 परसेंटेज पॉइंट मल्टी डायमेंशनल पॉवर्टी कम कर दी है हमने इन सब चीजों पे वर्क करके, विच इज अ ह्यूज अचीवमेंट. रूरल एरियाज में सबसे ज्यादा जो इंप्रूवमेंट आई है, 32% से 19% जो है वहां पे पॉवर्टी रह गई है, विच इज अमेजिंग. अब अगर इस चार्ट को भी हम देखें ध्यान से, सो दिस इज मल्टी डायमेंशनल पॉवर्टी इंडेक्स और कहाँ पे मल्टी डायमेंशनल पॉवर्टी सबसे ज़्यादा है, कहाँ पे सबसे कम है। अगर सबसे कम वाले एरियाज को देखें, सो यू कैन टेक अ लुक कि जो डार्क ब्लू कलर है, दिस शोज द लोएस्ट मल्टी डायमेंशनल पॉवर्टी। तो अगर नॉर्थ इंडिया में देखें, यहाँ पे मल्टी डायमेंशनल पॉवर्टी बहुत कम है। जम्मू एंड कश्मीर, लद्दाख, पंजाब, हरियाणा, हिमाचल एंड उत्तराखंड, सबसे कम मल्टी डायमेंशनल पॉवर्टी। सिमिलरली साउथ में देखें तो ऑलमोस्ट पूरा ही साउथ इंडिया काफ़ी अच्छी पोजीशन है। महाराष्ट्र, कर्नाटक, केरला, तमिलनाडु, आंध्र प्रदेश एंड तेलंगाना, all of them are very good in performance. Then Sikkim also is very good, and Manipur and Mizoram are also faring well. उसके बाद जो कुछ स्टेट्स इसमें मीडियम उस पे आती हैं, दे इंक्लूड राजस्थान, गुजरात, देन छत्तीसगढ़, देन यू हैव ओडिशा एंड वेस्ट बंगाल, अरुणाचल प्रदेश एंड त्रिपुरा। ये वाली स्टेट्स जो हैं ये मीडियम कैटेगरी में आती हैं। लेकिन अगर हम पुअर स्टेट्स की बात करें कि इंडिया में अभी भी अगर मल्टी डायमेंशनल पॉवर्टी है तो वो ज़्यादा कहाँ पे है, देन द स्टेट्स लाइक मेघालय, बिहार and Jharkhand. These are the three states that stand out. You know, Bihar, Jharkhand and your मेघालय, इन तीन स्टेट्स में सबसे ज़्यादा मल्टी डायमेंशनली पुअर लोग रहते हैं। तो थोड़ा सा पॉलिसी मेकिंग में और पॉलिसी इंप्लीमेंटेशन में गवर्नमेंट यहाँ पे फोकस कर सकती है। दैट इज द आइडिया। उसके बाद बिगेस्ट ड्रॉप्स सबसे ज़्यादा इंप्रूव किन स्टेट्स ने किया है, तो हालांकि बिहार अभी भी रेड जोन में आ रही है, लेकिन सबसे ज़्यादा इंप्रूवमेंट बिहार ने की है। दैट इज़ अमेजिंग। तो सोचो कि बिहार में पहले कितनी बुरी सिचुएशन होगी कि सबसे ज़्यादा इंप्रूवमेंट करने के बाद भी 18% मल्टी डायमेंशनल पॉवर्टी कम की है उन्होंने, और फिर भी वो अभी रेड जोन में आ रहा है। दैट मीन्स अ लॉट स्टिल नीड्स टू बी डन। देन मध्य प्रदेश में -16%, देन उत्तर प्रदेश में -15%, ओडिशा में -14%, राजस्थान -13.6, छत्तीसगढ़ -13.5, असम, झारखंड, सब ने ऑलमोस्ट 13 to 14% पॉवर्टी कम की है, विच इज अमेजिंग ऑल्सो बिकॉज ऑफ द फैक्ट बिकॉज बिहार, उत्तर प्रदेश, मध्य प्रदेश ऑल्सो, दीज आर सम ऑफ द मोस्ट पॉपुलस स्टेट्स ऑफ इंडिया। तो अगर सबसे ज़्यादा पॉपुलर स्टेट्स में इतनी इंप्रूवमेंट आई है, इसीलिए हम 10% का फर्क ला पाए हैं। 14 करोड़ पीपल पुल्ड आउट ऑफ पॉवर्टी इन दोज 6 years, and it also speaks volumes about the government initiatives in the last few years, जो कि मैंने अभी आपको बताए भी। राइट तो सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल्स को मीट करने के लिए, सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल्स जो हमें 2030 तक मीट करने हैं, वी आर वेल ऑन ट्रैक टू अचीव दोज टारगेट्स। you know, these government schemes, they need to be scaled up, they need to be implemented even better, and फाइनेंशियल एलोकेशन ऑल्सो नीड्स टू बी इंक्रीज्ड अगर हमें SDGs मीट करने हैं। बट अभी तक जितनी प्रोग्रेस हुई है, दैट इज रियली कमेंडेबल। इंक्लूसिव डेवलपमेंट शो करती है ये, because the improvements have been across the domains, across caste, gender, religion, region, सब जगह पे across the board ये डेवलपमेंट हुई है, which makes this achievement even better. I don't know why no one seems to be talking about this index nowadays. You know, everyone seems to be obsessed with one particular news at one particular point of time. But we need to appreciate these things as well, because this is like years and years of hard work of successive governments. It's not that only one government has done something and then there are improvements. Of course, there are various governments who keep on, putting in something to remove poverty, and then this kind of a result is visible. कौन कौन से वो गवर्नमेंट इनिशिएटिव्स हैं जिनका हम स्पेसिफिकली नाम ले सकते हैं, जिन्होंने एक्चुअली में ऑन द ग्राउंड फर्क डाला है? पोषण अभियान फॉर न्यूट्रिशन, सेम अनीमिया मुक्त भारत अभियान फॉर न्यूट्रिशन, स्वच्छ भारत फॉर सैनिटेशन, 11 crore toilets built in India from 2014 till 2020. Jal Jeevan Mission, under which tap water connections are to be provided by 2024. 7 crore tap water connections have already been provided. Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, 9 crore LPG cylinder connections have been given out. right? So this is for clean fuel. Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana for housing. Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana for banking, financial inclusion. Samagra Shiksha for education. Also a big shout out to the previous government for passing the Right to Education Act in 2009 and implementing it in 2010. A big shout out to the even previous government of Atal Bihari Vajpayee, who passed the 86th Constitutional Amendment Act in 2002, making right to education a fundamental right in the Constitution under Article 21A. So that's why I say that multiple successive governments, if they carry on an initiative, cutting across political lines, cutting across party lines, then this kind of a success is achieved. Right? So cooking fuel, financial inclusion, housing and all these efforts have resulted in reduced deprivations. Right? So now if we take a look at this again, now you can see one scheme at least at the national level for each of these. For nutrition, we have the Poshan Abhiyan. For reducing child mortality, we have a lot many things, not only in nutrition, but also in vaccination. The, what you can say, the Ayushman Bharat Yojana is there. Then we have Indradhanush vaccination program, the pentavalent vaccination program, polio, pulse polio abhiyan, all those. Then in years of schooling, we have Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan. We have the fact that right to education is now not only a fundamental right, but also a statutory right in India. You know, for 8 years, you get free of cost schooling. Then school attendance has increased. Also in part to the schemes like midday meal scheme, due to which children go to the school. Then also because of new toilets being constructed in schools, in the absence of which the adolescent girls used to drop out of the school, but now that is no longer happening because of the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. Cooking fuel, you have Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana. Sanitation, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. Drinking water, Har Ghar Nal Se Jal, Jal Jeevan Mission. Electricity, we achieved it in 2020. Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana for housing, and for assets, a number of schemes. So it is this welfare oriented administration over the past few decades that have resulted in this reduction of poverty. And if we keep hitting the right chords over the next few years, there is no doubt that by 2030 or at the max 2035, India can reduce the incidence of poverty to less than 2 to 3%, which will make it an ideal place to live. And if we step up the gas right now, then we might even be able to achieve this by 2030, which is the target year for Sustainable Development Goals. So that is the hope that this index gives to us this year. And that is the hope on which we should build upon. That is all for this. I hope you liked it. If you do, then please hit the bell icon and give us a thumbs up. Share it with your friends so that they can also benefit from the same. Thank you and take care.